When I was a kid, my parents were in Amway. Um, I don't really remember a time when they weren't in Amway. They got to Gold Direct, got a free trip down to Ada, Michigan. Evidently, that's a major tourist attraction. Anyways, uh, yeah, so they were in Amway and the multi-level marketing. And I don't, this isn't about multi-level marketing. And although I do have, no, if you're interested, I'd like to sign you up. No, actually, I've been in a few. And you know what? Multi-level marketing, they're not necessarily schemes, but they're not necessarily everything they're cracked up to be either. I mean, some people get rich and some people help the ones that got rich get rich. Some people are successful. I mean, honestly, different people have different goals and different people accomplish different things. And you know what? As long as you know what you're doing and not getting ponzied or scammed, I mean, more power to you. But the thing that got me about Amway is, I mean, other than the music, Sammy, somebody singing about crazy circles, um, was the way that the leadership encouraged people to focus on what they were doing and where they were going. And they said, put things on the fridge, your goals on the fridge. And so you'll see them every day because everybody goes to the fridge every day. And so the problem was the kids saw them too. And the parents are like, this is what's going to happen. We're going to do this. And then it never happens. And the kids are like, well, you said it was going to happen and it never did. Um, Set up a false sense of hope, false sense of anticipation. And it was like Christmas never came. And it, to a certain degree, it teaches you not to trust. It teaches, gives you a whole lot of negative responses to that. Because when somebody promises you something and they don't follow through, it's very painful. Especially when they're people you're supposed to trust, like your parents. Now, I'm not bashing on my parents. My parents were taking advice from other people, and in retrospect, I don't think they really thought it through or even really had the basis to think it through of how this is going to impact our kids. So this false sense of hope, this false sense of anticipation, and that's what you're left with. And so, how do you begin to see the world? How do you begin to see uh, things that you should be having hope in? You think, well, it's hopeless. You can't have hope because no matter what people promise, it doesn't come through. And then we read, and as we grow and we learn that God makes promises, and then we look and say, well, God's promises aren't coming true because God promises me. Well, the problem is not that God's promises don't come true, is that we don't understand God's promises. Just like my parents didn't understand the impact of what they were saying, we don't necessarily understand the truth of what God's saying because we don't really see Him through any other eyes than the eyes of the world. And see, Jesus Christ came and made a lot of promises to give us hope. But one of the things that He said quite consistently is, I give you not as the world gives. See, God doesn't provide for us what the world provides. He doesn't provide for us the way that the world provides. And He doesn't provide for us with the same priorities that the world prioritizes. See, the world prioritizes those things that you can put on your fridge, that you can say, here's a trip I want to take, here's a house I want to live in, here's a car I want to drive in. And God says the things that I want you to put hope in is the type of person that you're going to be. What type of person are you going to be? And it's like, are we anticipating God creating newness in us? Are we asking God to give us a hope for a better tomorrow, in that we become better people tomorrow? So God said, yeah, I'll give it to you. And then it's like, well, how are you going to give it to me, God? God says, I'm going to get you. You're going to suffer. And you're like, no. Well, I want something good. And God says, well, I'm going to give you something that's you're going to struggle through. And God, well, that's bad. And God says, no, it's difficult. But what it's going to do is going to teach you what I have for you. It's going to teach you to love. So I'm going to put people who are unloving in your life, or unlovable, which is even kind of worse. God, I need patience. Well, God's going to give you opportunity to sit and wait. It's like, God, I need peace. Well, God's going to allow things in your world to fall apart so you can turn to Him. See, In Acts, it says, God has determined everything, everywhere we live and when we live, that we might seek the Lord, that would be not far from every one of us. See, the God's promises are He will give us Him, His Holy Spirit. He will give us Him. And God says the way to find it, the way to find me, is through recognizing my power over the things you have no power over. My strength are the things that you have no strength in. My peace and the things you have no peace in. See, those things that we put on the fridge, those tangible things, and we say, God, that's what we want. God says, well, I know what you need. You need to be able to live in fulfillment. You need to live in peace and joy and happiness and have a life that has purpose and meaning despite all of those things. God said, those are the things I promise you. We rejoice in our suffering because our suffering produces perseverance, perseverance, character, and character, hope. Hope only comes when we begin to live the truth of God's promises. I'm going to talk a little bit about that on Sunday, but just wanted you to be encouraged this morning. I was thinking about Amway. Weird. And all the things that I learned from that. So hope that's been encouragement to you. God bless you.